Hey, hi folks, how's it going? We're live right off the bat, right on the numbers here. But I tell you, you know what it is? It's a very new world, folks. It's an incredibly new world for us, at least in Detroit. And I'll tell you why. It's because the Lions won. Who knew that they were going to win? We didn't know. We had no clue, but they actually won. So here we go. In order to celebrate this and talk about this, we're going to go on to what we call, where the comics get together, the off night. And you're going to enjoy it this time because we're going to talk about how the Lions won. Anyway, please welcome Mr. Mark Sweetman, your host.
Hey! Oh, I guess I had my camera off a little bit there. Here we are, the off night. My name is Mark Sweetman. I started this about 3.5 years ago and lost all my technical abilities when we lost Seth Wrestler. He's off doing his thing for pay. We're still doing this for nothing, but, you know, who knows? It could catch on. We'll see. It's basically old farts that do comedy. And in the old days, in the 80s, we had Sunday and Monday nights, often, not always, but sometimes. And we'd call it the off night. We'd hang out at the open mics and just bullshit, you know, just talk about our lives, our careers, test out jokes on each other. And that's what we try to do here every Monday night at 8 o'clock here on the YouTube channel. For the first 3.25 years, we were on my Mark Sweetman YouTube page. This summer, I created the Off Night YouTube page, and that's where we broadcast from now, is the YouTube page. So if you're watching it, that's where you're seeing it. I also distribute it to some of the Facebook pages. We did originally start on the Detroit Comedians and Comedy Fans Facebook page. But Facebook doesn't help you monetize the way YouTube does. YouTube, if you get viewership on Facebook, you get bupkis. If you do it on YouTube, they throw a few pennies, you know. So none yet for us, but you know, we've had a number of technical difficulties, but we've built up a cadre of very funny people who join us every Monday night for an hour. About 1.5 years ago, we cut it back to 60 minutes. We had been doing an hour and a half. We cut it back, and then we talked for half an hour afterwards anyway. So we might as well do an hour and a half. But I like keeping it to an hour. We're going to start chunking it off and putting it on all the social media sites, and I'm trying to learn all that stuff. But anyway, let's get Andy back out here. Normally, by this point in the show, we would be introducing my wife, who reads a poem that she has taken from the news headlines and puts it into verse. And sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. She did another poem this week, but she can't be here tonight. So it's my job to read the poem. Andy, I can't read and do the technical stuff. So you're going to have to stay on the screen with me while I read the poem. So
all right.
I'll react appropriately, please.
Sure. I will do my best.
All right, here we go. The poem for September 11th, 2023. 9/11 was the day the Twin Towers fell, the sky turned gray. 2001, the Pentagon struck. One plane crashed in Pennsylvania muck. We remember those on 9/11 who died. We raised our hearts as our nation cried. Life goes on. There's an earthquake in Morocco. Kilauea erupted. Teen dies eating spicy chip taco. We try to laugh, and then again we cry, and remember fondly, comedian Geechee Guy.
Oh.
And that's her poem. And of course, Susan and I knew Geechee Guy before he was Geechee Guy.
Yeah.
So,
so what was it like working with Geechee Guy? Kind of tell the audience a little bit about who he was.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring Sam out, too, because Sam, I think, remembers Geechee Guy. If he doesn't, I'm sure he'll tell us. Here's Sam Greenfield. Another long-time comic. Did you ever work with Geechee Guy, Sam?
You know, I did, and everybody loved him.
And he loved everybody. That was the thing about. I mean, he didn't say a bad word about anybody, and nobody said a bad word about him. So
I was so tempted, though, when you just said we're going to bring Sam back on. Sam, you worked with the yeah, what a dick! Just so tempted. He stole my jokes. I came back to my room, in the condo. I got a shoe missing. What a piece of shit. No, he was a lovely guy and a master of self-deprecating humor.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. Oh, everything about that was.
But it wasn't like poor pitiful me. it was almost like he said, "This is who I am, and it's funny." That was "This is who I am, and it's funny."
Yep.
And you know the one thing I remember about it, well, not the one thing, but one of the things I remember about him, I have no memory of him getting heckled.
No.
I don't think I've ever heard him getting heckled either.
And by the way, heckling has changed. Heckling used to mean some guy yelling, "You suck." Now it's some attention-starved asshole who just wants to yell shit out.
Yeah.
Or it's someone who doesn't realize that people with ears can hear you, and they just are talking blithely in the show. You know, I've had people thrown out of the show. I said to this one guy, I said, "If you keep talking loudly, I'm going to ask you to leave." He goes, "Fuck you, I'm not leaving." And I called the security guy. We said, "Throw him out." And he goes,
"Well, anybody that works in Detroit, it started at the Castle. Of course, the Castle's been around 40 years now.
40 years.
Yeah. Well, it started at the Castle, but now everybody in Detroit uses it, and that is when the comic says, "Put this guy to sleep."
What do they say?
Put this guy to sleep.
Guy to sleep.
That's what Ridley said. He says, if you have any problems, just, because Ridley was like, some comics can play with these guys and tear them apart. You know what I mean? You've got
Which I think sets a bad precedent.
It does set a bad. Well, the rule was the opener or the middle never did it. Never worked the crowd. That was, you do not ruin the show for the headliner. If the headliner wants to deal with it, that's fine. But once you're up there headlining, the line was just, play with them if you want, but if they get too rough, just say, have this guy put to sleep or put this guy to sleep, whatever.
Well, at Rascals in West Orange, New Jersey, which was a great club.
I remember Rascals.
The signal was, "Jerry, get this guy a club soda."
Yeah, there you go.
and you would walk over to him, and this is what they would say to him: "After I leave this table, you're not going to talk again, because if you do, I'm going to embarrass you." And that was it. And it left the guy thinking, what's he going? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And there's a club in D.C. I'll never forget this. They had a bouncer. He was a huge guy, huge.
That's how it helps.
6'5", 310 pounds.
Yeah.
Black as the ace of spades. And he would come, and yet white. No, and he would, and say, this is what he would do. He would come up behind the guy and gently, and I mean gently, put his hand on the back of his neck. And he would say to the guy, "Does this hurt?" "No. If you talk again, it will."
Yeah.
And get up and leave. And that was the end of that. And so I said to him, I said, "Have you ever had to get rough with a guy?" He said, "One time." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I made him cry." I made him cry. I said, because when he walked away, he went, fuck him. And I turned back around and I said, and he squeezed his neck, which by the way is a crippling pain. And he said, and the guy said, "That hurts." And the guy goes, "That's awful." And they tossed him. And his girlfriend says, "My father's a lawyer." And and Jerry, that was the guy's name. He said, "You give a fuck what your father does. You can't."
So, you know what? Ned's on now too. I'm going to see if bring him in this because he's
young Ned Rice.
Ned Rice is with us. Yeah, hold on just a second. I'm going to
bring Ned Rice.
Ned,
the old one.
You were talking about Geechee guy. Did you know Geechee?
I never met him, but I was a big fan.
All right. Well, let's take him off. Let's take Ned off now. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
We were saying before you came on that everybody loves him, and I was so tempted to go, "Sam, you worked with him, didn't you?" "I worked with that dick."
I heard that.
Garbage bag of a human being.
He was kind of a more, for me, Sam, he was kind of a more commercial version of Howard Feller.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
what an apropos description.
I felt that way about him, and he seemed genuinely kind and gentle to me.
Did you see the last video he put out?
I don't think so.
His dry bar special just hit 1 million views. And so he went on last week and he said, he thanked everybody. He goes, and because of all these views and all these hits now, I'm booked for the next year. I'm going to, so follow all my feed. He gave all of his feeds, Instagram and Facebook and all the places where Twitter, all the threads, anything. and he said, "Follow where I'm going to be because I've got a full schedule and I probably come in your area."
How
And
sad
thank
is
you.
that? Oh.
He said, "Thank you so much. I mean, this doesn't happen without all of my followers and all of my fans. Thank you very much." And you're watching it and you're just weeping. I mean, it was just very.
What killed him?
I presume now wait a minute. Of all the 4 people on the screen, I've known him longer than any of you, and I met his mom. And if he learned how to eat in that household, his diet killed him. And he was famous for always like having king dongs and Twinkies and just just horrible food. So it would not surprise. I'm not. I don't know. I haven't seen Geechee in probably about 7 years, but he just was not a good eater. He wasn't fat.
He wasn't
still,
fat. But
No,
he
it wasn't fat at all.
terrible
You don't
pain.
have to be fat to have that crap kill you.
Yeah. Hey, here's a question.
His sister died 6 years ago at the age of 51. So that he died at 59 really is not.
Well,
that.
maybe it's genetic.
It could be. It could be. They found him in his sleep. They thought he went to sleep, and he had a roommate.
Well, he did.
Forever. I have a question.
Yes.
What is his actual name?
Mike Cathers.
Oh, had nothing to do with. Oh, Mike.
Nothing at all.
Mike Cathers. I tell you what, he's the funniest alumnus from Michigan Christian College.
Wow.
Wow. High praise indeed. Sir.
Yeah, he went to. Yeah,
Those
he went
hallowed
to.
halls.
He went to school. The line he said. I don't know if he did it on stage, but the line told me, he says, "Yeah, I went to school to be a preacher, but they told me I was too frightening to preach."
Oh God, that's good.
You could actually say, Jesus Christ, that guy was funny.
Now he was the place that started him was the Holly Hotel, which was running comedy till about a year ago when they burned.
Mm-hmm.
Again, for the 4th time, they had their 4th fire. The place is over 100 years old, so they're likely to have fires, especially in a town like that.
Jewish
building, they're going to open again, and they're probably going to be just as good as they were before. I don't know if they're going to do comedy again, but he was a dishwasher there.
That was the place with great food.
Yeah, they served. They were excellent food there.
Somebody wrote a thing today. Who was it? On Facebook about what's where he met Geechee Guy, that he's working at the Holly Hotel as a comic.
That's where a lot of people met him.
But someone
Geechee was the
mentioned Geechee. Oh, was it Amos Chang? I don't remember who.
Ronnie
Bullard.
Ronnie Bullard, was that?
That's who it was. It was Ronnie Bullard.
Yeah, because Ronnie Sheila Kay met him there. Everybody talks about meeting Geechee. And the thing, Bill Kirkenbarrow paid for his teeth, and Glenn Farrington bought him his sweaters. He was wearing what could best be described as week-old surgery scrubs. They didn't look clean. You could see. You knew if you didn't see him eating king dongs and Twinkies, you saw it on his clothing. But anyway, Glenn Farrington was in town headlining, and Geechee was his opening, his MC or his middle or something like that. And he took him out to the mall and bought him like about 5 sweaters. And he says he was so happy to see as he was touring around the country, Geechee's 8x10. He was wearing the sweaters he bought him. He had seen a bunch of different ones, and
sweet.
Yeah. His friends out in LA, he and I had the same manager in 90 and 91. We had the same manager.
Who was that?
Paul Kruger. Nobody ever heard of him. Nobody ever will. We all, Chicago Steve Barkley, Janine Gardner, Brad Upton, me, and Geechee all had, Brad.
I know Brad.
Yeah. Anyway, we all had him, and we all fired him the same week. And he said to me, he goes, "Oh, this looks pretty suspicious. You're all firing me on the same week?" I go, "It's not suspicious at all. We got together and decided you suck."
So it was a team effort.
It was a team effort, yeah. And we all made it past him, but he was horrible. He was just horrible.
Something when something like that happens, you have to believe that the guy knows he sucks. He has to know. He's not getting you work. The work he's getting you is shit. He's asking too much of you. He screws up the dates he's supposed to get you. He doesn't know how to talk to people for whatever reason. But the guy has to know.
We actually did not plan on firing all the same week. But he says to me, yeah, Steve calls me Monday, then Geechee calls me Tuesday, and then Janine calls me Wednesday. I go, Janine called you Wednesday. She wasn't supposed to call you till Friday.
Wait a minute. That's not what I meant.
That's so funny.
I can't
the
believe
thing
I
is-
Geechee's, his crew was Warren Thomas, John Bowman. I don't know if these names mean anything to you guys or not. Rich Chasler, Randy Kagan.
Yes, sure.
For years.
See, the thing about
Kagan wrote for the Scottish guy. Trying to think of his name now.
Ferguson.
Craig
Ferguson.
Randy wrote for. Randy
Yeah,
wrote
yeah,
for.
he was on the. He was a writer there, and I think he did warm up too.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
Ferguson had one of the funniest small movies ever. Do you remember the one about the guy who's supposed to be a hairstylist?
Tease, the big tease.
The Big Tease. What a great movie.
Oh, I never saw it. I never saw either.
Oh
of Craig's
man,
movies.
there's a part in it where the guy who played, I can't remember his name, Ron Howard's brother on Happy Days, really good looking guy.
Oh, was there for one season? That guy?
Yeah.
They wrote him out after one season. Yeah.
Right.
Can't
So
think
and David Raish is in it. You know, the character actor.
Right.
And he plays a hairstylist who's like a real vicious asshole. And the guy whose name we can't think of wishes Craig Ferguson luck. You know, he's supposed to be from Scotland, and he's in this. It's supposed to be like the Academy Awards or the Super Bowl, actually, of hairstyles. And Raish grabs him and goes, "Listen to me. Don't you fick with me. Do you hear?" And I'm laughing. So he couldn't say fuck. Don't you fick with me. No one ficks with me. You fick with me. And I think the guy who he was talking to should have gotten an Oscar for not laughing.
That's funny as shit.
I was a film studies major at Wayne State University in Detroit, which is not known for film, even though we have a lot of graduates who did very well in film.
Yeah, we thought that was on the tub. So go ahead.
What's that?
We thought the film was on the tub. That's what we thought over those things.
Exactly. But anyway, they hired a guy from, I can't remember if it was 20th Century Fox or Columbia. And I can't think of his name now, but he was a Greek guy. Damn, Mike, I'll have to look up some of my old notes. But he was our a film professor at Wayne State that had done 20 years in the studio system in Hollywood. And every time we did a film and we would present it in class, he would always say, "Why did you not fuck us?" We would just sing with his Greek accent. It sounded like he was saying, "Why did you not fuck us?" And he was saying, "Focus." It was a choice. It was a choice. It was a choice not to fuck you.
Remember the movie Get Shorty?
Yeah.
Andy reminded me of this. Delroy Lindo's talking to Gene Hackman, who's supposed to be like a horror show film director.
Right.
And he goes, "I've seen your films, Harry. I've seen better film on teeth."
Hey, we got Wes and Jason here. I'm going to bring them in. They can't add much to the Geechee discussion, but
I will say you can see clips of Geechee on not only the on YouTube, but also in the that whatever they call those films or shows are on yeah.
Well, you want to see a good clip? See his dry bar special. He just did
the dry bar. The dry bar is on YouTube also.
Yeah. Check out the dry bar. And I don't see Wes. Oh, here's Wes. Wes came back. All right, here we go. Let's get Wes on here too. All right.
Hey,
Ned, did I send you that lineup of CBS stars from the 70s?
I got it.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm going to send it to you. They had
Please.
a show like Night of 100 Stars or something like that, and it was every star, and I mean every star that appeared on CBS. I mean Ed Asner, Mary
That was it.
Lucille
I noticed it was at Television Studio City there at 3rd and Fairfax.
Right.
But I didn't see where they would have filmed that unless that area is not there anymore.
Danny Thomas.
Studio City has several large sound stages. Quite a few.
Anywhere in there. At CBS? CBS
Yeah.
Studios?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did the Bill Maher show there, but they also had a couple of soaps. Price is Right shot there.
Carol Burnett shot her show there.
The Bob Barker Price is Right.
Yep.
Yes, a whole bunch of shows. There were lots of sound stations.
Yeah, that's a big area.
Yes.
They sold a lot of it off to. That's right where the farmers market is too. They sold a lot of that land off to make the Grove there, which
Correct.
is
Yeah, that's right.
shopping and touristy area.
So amazing. Bob Barker's last wish was to be spayed and neutered.
And
it
people
killed
forgot.
Yeah.
That was the crazy part. They forgot.
Yeah.
And in death, he gave birth to 3 kids.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
You
isn't
know,
it the
and Ned, I am still, not because I don't believe you, okay? But
What?
it's not because I don't, it's something you said last week, a couple weeks ago. It's not that I don't believe you. It's just, it's the last person I would suspect would have this appellation. When you talked about Melissa Rivers. And, you know, and I just, if you remember, I'm sure you do, I said, what was she like? And you went, cunt.
Here's another example. I very, very briefly dated a woman here in Ann Arbor. Well, I'm actually not in Ann Arbor today. I'm in Seattle. I'm traveling. Another story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I dated a woman very briefly, and one of the main concerns was when she took her glasses off, she looked a lot like Melissa Rivers.
Oh,
Wow.
Like, no, that's not going to work.
Wow.
So you're saying put your glasses back on?
Absolute, just a ghoul.
Yeah.
and a very nasty human being.
Ghoul.
Huh?
My favorite word of all time. Ghoul.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Absolutely true.
Ned, I have a question for you.
When I was at
Yeah.
Howard,
Are you for your
I'm sorry, go ahead.
for your late night writing seminar for the Detroit Comedy Festival? Are you doing that online? Is that a
It looks like, yeah. Zoom or whatever, yeah.
okay? Because I've been talking about it now at the Unclub, so I'm trying to get a lot of Unclubbers down there for that because it's all free seminars. So
Thank you.
we're actually doing it. We're actually doing a carpool from on Sunday anyway. We're doing a carpool from the Unclub, so that when it's all over, we can go back to the Unclub and do our show. So
That's a great idea.
When I was at Howard, we had a huge place where they put the sets together and everything, big wood shop and everything, huge area.
Howard what?
Howard University.
Oh.
And so the phone rings, and I, backstage, and I pick up the phone, and there's a woman on the phone, and we start talking, and we talked for 8 hours.
Wow.
8 hours. And it was like really great and really fun, and she seemed so sweet, and where this is going. It's going straight to hell. But and so I said, why don't we meet tomorrow? And she said, okay. So there was a place in D.C., this bowling alley, Silver Hill Bowl. So I said, how about if I meet you there?
You got some game there, Sam.
I'm all balls, brother. Oh, I could have taken her to see.
I'd like to take you to the.
Let's roll
I'd like to take you to the bar with a pool table, but all the sticks are
listen,
are broken. So let's.
If you can't roll a frame, then oh the shame. And so,
Whoa.
And so, talk about a 7-10 split, folks. Anyway, so is this thing on? Sadly, yes, said the audience. Anyway, so I meet her, and I told a friend of mine. I said, I think this woman's like unbelievable. Just
Yeah.
So I meet her, and I see my friend because he says, I was going to meet him later if it didn't turn out to be something fabulous. And he says, what was it like? I said, it was like meeting a major movie star. Well, who? Lee J. Cobb. Okay.
Yeah.
Without the rub.
I've done a few Ernest Borgnines in my life.
Let me tell you something. Ernest Borgnine was Angelina Jolie next to this one.
Hey, Sam, do you remember Mike Rowe? Do you remember Mike Rowe?
Yeah, sure.
Mike Rowe.
He used to go, ladies and gentlemen, it's a rare treat tonight. This is very exciting. We have a Hollywood legend in the audience right here. I didn't even know he was going to be here tonight. Please welcome Boris Carr. Oh, sorry, lady.
Oh, that's great. Oh, is that great?
Did you not hear me?
Oh, Boris Carr. Oh man.
Sorry,
Oh,
lady.
sorry, lady.
Oh, well, you know the old joke.
Did
right?
anybody see?
Oh,
Did anybody
my
see the pictures that Dennis Piper posted on Facebook today?
Pardon
No.
me?
Dennis
No.
Piper. Do you guys know Dennis Piper from
No.
Cincinnati?
No.
Anyway, he posted some pictures of him on stage. He looked like Wallace Shawn.
Oh my. Well, you know the old joke, right, folks? I'm going to tell you a joke. You're going to laugh your tits off. A lady, I see
Oh,
you the joke.
I see you heard it already. Yeah.
And then her husband goes, "I'll kill you with my bare hands." I go, "Sir, sir, I'm 5 feet 5 inches tall. If you can't kill me with your bare hands, you should commit suicide. Your wife could kill me with her bare hands. In fact, frankly, her hands look like they belong on a bear." And so
You have to use two hands.
Yeah, have to use two. I don't
You're
want to
not much of a
brag.
man.
And so if somebody said, "Why did you keep aggravating?" I go, "If he hadn't hit me by then, he wasn't going to hit me."
Right.
Okay, that's the kind of thing. You pissed me off. You insulted my wife. Bam. No. This is like 8 minutes later. You know what's going on now? His wife is going, well, I don't want to hit the guy. I mean, if you
right now
love
he's
me,
sleeping on the
if I
couch.
loved you, what are you going to bail me out? Get the fuck out of here. And that's how I wound up with chicks.
Hey, Jason, are you like in the witness protection program? What's going on down there?
I'm in the Jehovah Witness Protection Program.
That was-
and I'd like to
that
interest
was
you
the
in a
first
copy of
joke.
the Watchtower.
I ever told that on stage when I was in 1982. I said, I'm in the Jehovah's Witness Protection Program.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
well done, Jason.
Well, thank you. I remember blowing you backstage
I'm
after
not-
that joke.
Does everything
good
have to be
times.
about?
Saying
Does
you
everything
stole
have
it,
to be about
but you
Jason
stole
blowing everybody?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, I mean, that's true. It's like, yeah.
Well,
So
yeah, I
far.
saw the Chargers blow a lead yesterday, but I don't think that's the same thing.
Hey,
Oh,
how about
yeah.
the Giants? How about the Giants? Everybody watch that?
Well,
Cowboys
they didn't.
Giants game
What they
last
blew was their chances of making the playoffs.
night? I can't believe you had teams that made the playoffs last year: Minnesota, Seattle, and the Giants that just blew chunks yesterday.
But no one blew
Yeah.
chunks like the Giants. I mean,
Oh, the Giants
Yeah.
are horrible.
the joke they're telling here in New York is, we thought the Giants had a chance to win that game, but then they went ahead and played that goddamn national anthem. Once that started, well, you know. But I
They
mean,
By
were
the
doing
way-
great up until then.
field goal was blocked, run back for a touchdown. I mean, it was a disaster.
Did you see the posts I made today on Facebook?
No.
It said, "Meanwhile, in Pump the Breaksville,
Yeah.
the Browns and the Lions are going to the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
I
I
gotta
tell you,
something.
everybody on every radio station was always saying when they're calling in, it's like, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl. They have gone nuts.
Well,
because
maybe
I
they
know.
meant they have tickets.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't get tickets in Detroit. Everybody. That's
No.
why there's so many fans at Kansas City. They said that they're selling tickets to Detroiters in Baltimore and L.A. and Dallas, where they're also playing road games.
But see, here's
Yeah.
the thing. I don't fault the Detroit fans for being optimistic. I don't. But Cleveland looked great.
Well, we don't play them until the Super Bowl, so
No,
I'll
but
take
I'm
that.
talking about
I'll
that,
take
that's
playing
true.
Cleveland.
No, you wouldn't play them, would you?
What's that? We don't play Cleveland until the Super Bowl. We don't have a seasonal game with them this year.
By the way, you know who's praying that's not the Super Bowl? Every advertiser for the Super Bowl.
Because
You want a team that has won before, has had a little glamour,
want
to
big
them, has
big
a glamorous, has a glamorous player. All those are like blue collar teams.
I tell you what, though,
Yep.
they could do something with that. I mean, it wouldn't be the same as having a big team like from LA or New York, but with Detroit 1957 and Cleveland 1964, that's the last. Both of them had their last championships before the Super Bowl era.
And Detroit
Cleveland
gets
beat
good
the hell
ratings.
out of
And
the
Cleveland
Colts.
has not been in the Super Bowl. They went, and when they moved to Baltimore, they were. They think the city of Cleveland sued for the stats, and they just attached them to the new Cleveland Browns.
No, I think that Baltimore won the Super Bowl the year
Twice.
they left. The year that they moved out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
that they moved to Cleveland.
When
Then
they
the,
left
the
in the
team
middle
that
They
took
left
their
in the
place,
dark of night, you know.
Yes, that's right.
No,
You know.
they
Baltimore-
literally were in the dark of night. They
Baltimore
loaded
moved to
stuff into a moving
Indianapolis
van and away you go.
and remained the Colts.
Exactly,
And then
that was it.
moved to
They were
Baltimore.
afraid to be yet.
Oh, great. You're all talking now. None of you are talking. Geez, make up your mind, fellas.
Well, here, yeah. So
That's
the
what-
game was really good, though. I appreciate the Lions game. So
Well,
I just
the one,
think that coach Campbell,
Yeah, he's a good
balls
coach.
faking a punt on where the
Yeah.
12-yard line.
Did you guys
Yeah.
see his press
Oh,
conference?
oh,
Did you guys see his press
man.
conference today?
Huh?
no. What are
That fake punt is all pre-planned, and they don't pull the trigger unless all the things line up
Are in place.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's not. He doesn't do that out of his ass. He does it based on what his coaches have presented to him all during that week, during their game plan for the team that they're playing. He says that's not going to be. Don't expect that every game. That was a play for the Chiefs in a situation. If we hadn't gotten there, you wouldn't have seen it against the Chiefs.
But
You
that's
may
even
see
a
it against-
greater tribute to the team.
Yeah,
it is to me that they have that play designed.
Yes.
and they pull it off.
To me, it's a greater move to me that they
Well,
have the intelligence and the planning to have that. And it wasn't that he pulled it out of his ass, that he actually, has a play like that designed. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
To counter that, I give you the New York Giants.
Yeah.
You can't hurt me. I'm a Washington fan, and they
That's right. That's right.
They've
and they
already
won.
torn your heart out. So
How did
Yeah.
the Commanders do? Other
they
than their
won
name?
20-16.
Well,
And
there-
next week they play Denver, and they're going to beat Denver.
Oh man!
not with Russell Williams behind the line there. Come on, their savior quarterback out there in Denver land. Come on,
Man, to beat the happiest person in America is his agent.
Oh my God, the guy who got 10% or 15%.
They don't get that much, Jason. Football agents don't. They get like 7.
Well, given the numbers that these guys are shifting,
That's why.
7's pretty good.
No.
That's-
7's but they don't get 10%.
Right. I mean, did they sell Washington yet, or is it still just in the?
Yeah,
It's been
Washington's
sold.
been sold.
It's been sold, and
It's
the
in the
reason it's been sold is because no one's walking by Dan Snyder's house with a Nazi swastika.
Well, Dan
So-
Snyder can hire Mel Tucker now, so he's got.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, what happened?
What?
Fill me in. I just heard
Mel
some.
Tucker has been accused of sexual improprieties was it a student?
No. It was somebody coming in who was talking about sexual harassment.
She was she
Oh,
was hired by
my.
the team to talk to the players about sexual harassment.
And this
And
is
he-
the woman this is the woman he hit on.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me
Oh,
tell
my
you,
You should be
God.
fired for being stupid.
if a woman's job is to dig out and find sexual harassment, you don't go anywhere near her.
And this is going up at Larry Nasser U, right?
Yeah,
This-
Larry
this-
Nash, exactly. As if we
By
did
the
that.
way, the dumbest thing I've ever heard anyone say after they've been found guilty, they had when Larry Nasser was found guilty, they had victim statements,
Oh yes.
and all these
Yeah.
young women got up, and they were crying. Some of them were crying,
Yeah.
about the hell he put them through, and so the judge was going to sentence him to 30 years in prison, and she said, "Before I pass sentence," because she hadn't said this yet, "do you have anything to say?" And this is after the victim's statements, right? "Yes, Your Honor. I just want to say, evidently, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned."
Ooh.
Oh.
And she
That's like
changed the sentence to 175 years.
Well,
Yeah. Oh,
you know, the good news is, Larry, you were sexually active before. You're going to be sexually active again. However,
However,
it's not going to be quite the same. But don't worry, the dance card will be full. And
that's not all.
yeah, about to say.
Well, Nasser may find himself having a Jeffrey Dahmer type demise.
well,
Yeah.
Getting murdered.
Yeah.
Well, going into Gen Pop, and
He could easily be murdered. Yeah.
I mean, Dahmer, he knew when he decided to go into general population that it wasn't going to be too terribly long.
Well, that's what happened. If you go into Gen Pop,
Having
which
been
I like
there.
saying a lot, by the way.
Oh,
If you
listen,
go-
listen to Sam. Listen to Sam
Hello
with
from
the,
Gen Pop.
with the
And
listen to Sam with the
Dahmer
lingo
Dahmer
like
did
he's
not
on
know.
time.
Dahmer did not know.
Sam, you're such a badass.
You go into Gen Pop.
Look, Dahmer did not know.
I am, aren't I? Seriously. You're all
Hey,
scared of
Dahmer
me
did
now,
not
aren't
know.
you?
I thought Gen Pop was Korean music. I didn't know.
Dahmer did not know.
That's Gene Pop.
I'm telling you right now, Dahmer did not know. And I'll tell you why Dahmer didn't know.
Why?
Because they were trying. My brother was the coroner at the Dahmer case.
Your brother?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So when they were trying to get him into the mental hospital.
Right.
So he'd be there for the rest of his life and stuff. But the judge changed it to the general population. It was the judge that committed him to it. If they knew if they put him in that, he would be killed. Dahmer didn't know. But Dahmer was, he was not that
How
far.
long had he been in?
He'd been in for
Maybe
several
a year.
years.
Less
Not
than a year.
How long? Hold on.
Yeah.
How long had he been incarcerated before they shifted him to general population?
I'm trying to think.
It was a couple years when he hit Gen Pop. Andy, memory serves.
Yeah.
So just
And
a couple of years.
The
So
thing
he
that broke my
wasn't
heart
hip
was
enough.
that
He
kid who
didn't know.
escaped. That
Yes.
kid who escaped, and the
fucking
cops gave him back.
Gave him back. The fucking pigs, the
Oh,
same ones
God,
that busted
that poor
me,
child. Oh my
put me in
God.
prison for 2.5 grams of fucking cocaine for 15 to 20 years, and yet they let this kid go back into the arms of Satan
God,
himself.
that tears my heart out. That poor baby. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Who cares? They're faggots. They deserve to die. That was, and you can't tell me that wasn't what was going through
That
their
was
head.
absolutely the mindset.
Yeah.
That was absolutely the mindset.
Yeah.
That's what I was brought up with. That was the world I lived in for a very long time.
Yeah.
Not to get up on my gay cross right now, which is, lit up and pink and beautiful and everything, but that was the shape of the world.
Tassels? You got tassels on that?
They're on me, not on the cross, Mark. Come on. I mean, you've seen The Graduate. You know the titty bar scene, right?
Yeah.
You're missing a very interesting effect.
That is one of the best uses of glasses, of sunglasses ever.
I have
in a
never
movie.
had a crush on an actress in a movie like I had on Catherine Ross in that movie.
Wasn't she
Oh my
amazing
God.
in that
Oh
movie?
my
She was
God.
fantastic.
What movie
But it was the
wasn't she
movie
great
that made you
The
do it. It was the
Graduate.
movie that made you fall
Well,
for it.
it was that, and also Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Butch Cassidy,
Kid.
Sundance Kid, and
Yes.
Stepford. She was in
God.
Stepford Wives. She looked great in everything.
Stepford Wives.
And now you know who she's married to, right?
Sam?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, yeah.
Yeah.
For like 40 years.
Right.
Wasn't she also?
Sam
in
Elliott gives her
Panic in Needle
credit for
Park?
making him a star. He was going to turn down was a major thing that he got into. I think it was either Mask. What's that?
Mask.
He was in
Mask.
Mask? Okay. Yeah.
What was the other one you said?
Lifeguard.
I said,
Lifeguard.
That was supposed to be his star vehicle. It didn't work out. He was also in Roadhouse. He was great in
Yes, he
Roadhouse.
was.
who? Sam
So wait,
Elliott?
Yeah, he was going to
Yes.
turn.
Yeah,
I think he was going to turn down Mask, and she said, "Take Mask."
By the way, my
Yes.
favorite line in Roadhouse, which is the great guilty pleasure movie of all time.
Agreed.
It wasn't when the guy grabs him and goes, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." Although that's a great line.
Yeah.
But my favorite line is when he what's his name? Patrick Swayze goes to visit Ben Gazzara, and Gazzara's eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a man from like 1920 in a really nice suit. And he says to Gazzara, "Who's that in the picture?" "It's my grandfather." And he goes, "He looks like a very important man. He was an asshole." It's your grandfather.
God,
He was an
knows.
asshole.
But mine has to be Strother Martin, not in Cool Hand Luke, but in Slapshot, when he comes in during halftime or during one of the breaks and starts exclaiming, "We're losing! We've got."
Do you know there's scouts out there? There are scouts.
And then he scampers after calling the guys a bunch of pussies, and then he scampers and skips out of the room. It was absolutely amazing. And they said they had to take like 8 or 9 takes because everyone kept falling apart.
He must have been good
halfway
friends
through.
with Paul Newman because they
He
did
was.
several movies together.
He was. And Newman sometimes would say, he would tell them, "Listen, in this scene, he's got a hat and a cane. Take one of them away. Because if he's got the hat and the cane, he'll just eat up too much scenery. He'll find a way."
You know that
to
Strother
use-
Martin was on the swimming and diving teams at the
University of Michigan,
Yeah.
where he was a letterman.
He didn't look athletic at all.
No, but he taught swimming and diving in
Different
the
era.
Navy during World War II.
I think his best performance was in True Grit. That was my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he's
The horse peddler. That was the greatest. Amazing.
But he was one
I don't
of
know.
these
I
guys.
kind of like his appearance on Saturday Night Live myself. So.
I
Oh
did. I
God,
can't
that was a
remember.
long time ago.
Damn.
I don't even remember what he did on the show.
He did They did the skit where I loved it because it was at the time when I was taking French at Wayne State, and when they threw him in the box, it was the language box. You know how they threw Cool Hand Luke into the box?
Yeah, in the box.
Yes.
What we have is a failure to communicate bilingually. But it's very funny because that's what we used to practice. If you didn't have a French or whatever language you were taking, we had about 80 different languages at Wayne State. They put you into a box where you would basically be recorded, because they didn't have interactive like we do now. They didn't have Duolingo or Babbel or any of those other programs that you could do on your phone.
Right.
You would record yourself, and then they would send it off to either a professor or, more likely, they sent it over phone lines overseas where they got kids that could work for 50 cents an hour, that you would converse with.
Oh, thank God we had child labor back then.
The box did look a lot like a solitary confinement box when you were inside of it. So
God, I remember solitary confinement.
I go, whoever wrote this skit definitely did foreign languages in a state college back in the 70s. You know?
Oh God. Well, I did time at a state college, but it was later in the 80s. You know.
State Penn.
Thank you, Ned, for picking that up. Only one who understands what the word college means there. Yeah, exactly.
I took a shot.
I was explaining to someone today, I mean, here the state of Michigan is the biggest drug dealer in the Midwest. We are awash in cash. This is not just one of my rants. We really are. We get 10 to 16% a cut out of all the weed that's a pretty healthy cut, and they're in charge of security. And I know they're all thinking, exactly. You know, this is genius. What were we thinking? You know,
I tell you what, we're the only, you've got to go to Chicago to get an abortion outside of Michigan. Indiana and Ohio, we're going to be getting all that abortion business too.
Well, you see, there we go. If we can, you know what? You can have the abortions. I say we start selling guns. Fuck it. You know, I mean, abortions, guns, weed, come to Michigan. You know, we got it. You know, no fetus can defeat us. You know, you rape them, we scrape them.
I can already sense the new slogan on our license plates.
The DNC state.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
Oh, man!
It's morning after in Michigan.
One way or the other, we're going to kill you.
Yeah, you know, and here I remember being charged for selling 1.75 grams of cocaine, and ended up getting 1.5 to 20 two times, two cents. So thankfully they were served concurrently, so at least I got that much of a break. Mm-hmm. And the deal was, if I were to just simply name a few names, I would get probation. And you know, and smash cut to me just marching my happy ass off to prison. And when I make a Jehovah's Witness count, that's to the guy who they wanted me to set up. My dealer ended up going into the Jehovah's Witnesses after they busted him with 100 individually wrapped grams of cocaine. 100, that's distribution. Everything's manicured and bindled. He served nary a day in jail. They booked him. He made bail.
Nary a day.
Nary a day in jail.
Nary a day.
Jason, you sound a little bitter.
There's a little bitterness here, Jason.
Little bit.
Well, the thing is, all my cellmates were ugly. I mean, I didn't mind blowing them, but I mean, couldn't you at least have a little style? I mean,
I hate when they don't comb. You know, I hate the comb. That's what I hate. I hate.
Jason, when you skip into jail, I think they thought you were okay. You know.
Well,
By
actually,
the way,
I was straight.
My wife was telling me. She says, "I wish you would shave. I hate that beard. I hate that. I hate facial hair." I was this close to going, "Honey, I'd like you to meet Andy."
Oh, there you go.
Hello, it's Santa Claus. Yes. Hey, I got a picture of a guy. Do you know this guy? It's Jeffrey Roy Ford.
Jeffrey Roy Ford.
Jeff Ford. That's him.
Yeah, there we go.
The comedian.
Oh, yeah, Jeff.
Our writer.
Jeffrey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has published a series of children's books.
That's right.
Yeah, I knew that.
So I'm kind of like, if I get this on here we go.
Edmund, yeah,
Better
that's
angle.
the character.
You
Yeah,
know,
so he's
I should have tried
got a whole
that.
series of these. You can get them on. You can order them if you want on Amazon. So I'm going to try and see if I can get them into some of the local libraries here.
Oh,
See, I've
okay.
been trying to get the kids to get in my car. I've never thought of using books to lure them. Oh, this
Well,
is a
you have
different
to
thing.
hit the brakes, damn
Now,
it.
this is an actual.
Oh,
he's an
that's what
actual
it
sort of,
is.
you know, he's trying to help
You
kids.
can't let the car
Jeffrey was at
keep going,
the
Jason.
Unclub 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw that or
I
not.
see
Yeah, I
him all
did.
the time
Yeah.
on the circuit.
What was that?
He goes to Mark's show, and I've seen him. He's come to my show. I've seen him in Detroit. He's been around for a while.
Cool.
Yeah,
Where's
he's
your
one of the
show, Ned?
Hey, do
he's
you
one
have
of the
the one that?
original Unclubbers.
Do you have the copy of Stedman Fails to Propose to Oprah?
No, I don't have that
My
one.
favorite.
I got it may be in the school dance one. I'm not sure. That's
That one's called Stedman Realizes He's Got a Good Thing Going.
How
Yeah.
do you not propose
Part
to
one.
Oprah? How
There
do
we
you
go.
not marry that billionaire pig and take half? I mean, I don't
Are you
get
under
it.
the impression? Wait, are you under the impression she wants to get married?
No.
Well,
No.
I mean, just for appearance's sake, wouldn't
Well,
you
no,
think?
no.
I mean,
That ship has sailed, Jason.
No.
There's no appearances for Oprah. Oprah could
Well-
come tomorrow and saying, "I believe in slavery."
What
no,
kind
no.
of what kind of ship
no
are you
one
talking
who believe.
about?
I'm sorry.
What kind of ship are you talking about?
The good ship Beard is what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you meant some kind of slave ship.
well, it is kind of a slave ship. I mean, you go downstairs and you got Large Marge and her friends pulling oars.
Yeah.
I mean, and
That's how Charlton Heston got his start.
pulling
yeah.
oars on for Large Marge, or
pulling oars on the
Large
barge.
Remember her? Large Marge.
That middle
Yeah,
passage
right.
is never longer.
I love the fact that Paul Newman, whose first movie was The Silver Chalice,
Yes,
and for
with Jack
years
Palance.
that movie would run, and he would run a full-page apology in one of the local newspapers to apologize because he was not a big fan of that movie.
Jack Palance was in that movie, and he played some kind of wizard.
Yeah.
Who thought he could fly.
Right.
This is one of the reasons that I never regretted growing up in a black neighborhood, because when he tried to fly and of course failed, he goes up and like bam, and behind me this woman goes, "The fuck were you thinking?"
Oh my God, the honesty of black folks in the theater,
That's right.
man.
The
I
fuck-
mean,
Oh
well,
my
that's
God.
like in the movie Superman, the original, Christopher Reeve.
yeah.
When he beats those kids who are driving, he runs and beats them home.
Yeah.
This little boy behind me goes, "That man is getting up."
Hey, going to see a movie in like Times Square with a black audience can be a real entertaining. It doesn't even matter how good the movie
I took
is.
I
Sometimes.
took my son to. In fact, I do this in my act about taking my oldest black son to see Django Unchained.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
And I said, whenever we see a racially charged film or anything with those themes, I go, we always have to be careful as to which theater we select to go to see this film,
Mhm.
because if we go out to Howl to see it, it's going to be an all-white audience, and everybody will turn to him to see
Yeah.
if it's okay to laugh because it's Tarantino, and you all want to laugh at Tarantino stuff, And but anyway, we went to see Django Unchained here. But then when we were in Harlem together, we went to see what's his name's film? Key and Peele, Jordan Peele's first film.
Oh, what? Get Out?
Get Out. Yeah, we went to
Get
see
Out.
that. And the thing that was funny about that was now I'm the only white guy there.
Right.
But the difference between Django Unchained, him being the only black guy, and mine being the only white guy, is the theme in Harlem wasn't this racial part of it. It was the gender part of it. It was like you heard all these women like pissed off that the black guy is dating the white girl.
White woman.
The white woman,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so that
So
was.
does your
it was a
son
totally
ever
different-
like decry you as the white devil slave master? Now let's go get
Wait.
ice cream.
In Django, he was dating a white woman.
No. I'm talking about when we went to see Django, the tension was racist. When we went to see Get Out with an all
Oh,
black.
okay,
audience.
okay,
It was-
yeah.
The race
Yeah.
had nothing to do with it as much as the gender issues that
Yeah.
were brought up in that film.
I
Which
just
I thought was
remember
amazing.
my mom telling me about going to see Mandingo at the theater in Ipsy, which is now the Titty Theater. It's now the Deja Vu, but back in the day it showed movies.
Are you talking
And
about the
she
one that's
was-
kitty corner from the Unclub?
That would
Yeah.
be it.
That was the art cinema
the
1 and
only-
2.
She was
They
the
still
only
have
white
titty.
woman.
They still have titty theaters.
No.
It's there, but it's not. It's empty. It's unused. I mean, in this modern age, even the mob
No,
has
it's a
been put out of
strip club.
business.
But it's been closed
well,
for over a year. I
It's
think.
been closed for ever since COVID.
COVID closed
I mean-
it down 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so even the mob got put out of business. But like I say, my mom saw Mandingo there, and she was the only white person in the audience, and she heard some choice, select
Mm.
attitudes, beliefs that the
She learned a
audience
few
shared.
words that day.
Pardon me?
She learned a few new words that day.
Well, actually, she knew all the words. She
It was like
used to
Sesame
hearing them.
Street, but really ugly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, although we all have to think about the racial characterizations in Blazing Saddles. That was an absolute when
Such a
when
great movie.
when the little old lady comes by with the pie the day after.
Up yours.
Sorry about the up yours. Nigga.
Sorry about the
yeah,
up yours.
yeah, you know, I
So
mean,
great. That movie.
I
was
think the thing that's changed is audiences have lost their sense of humor
big time.
and their sense of irony.
They couldn't
Mhm.
handle it now. That's Richard Pryor who wrote that script for Blazing Saddles.
And he was supposed to be Bart,
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
couldn't
But
get the
he had-
financing
but
because
his
they
drug problems, they wouldn't
Right.
insure him.
Yeah.
right. So they got Cleavon Little, who did a great job.
No, he
He
did,
was great.
but it would have been a he did a great job, but it would have been a
Yeah.
very, very different movie if Richard
Mhm.
Pryor had
Yes.
played Bart. It
That's
would have
true.
been no disrespect to Cleavon Little. It would have been funnier.
Right. Oh, I still remember
Actually,
that line.
yeah,
They
it
said
would've
you
been-
was hung. They were right too. I
Well,
mean,
you know the great line that the outtake. when
yeah,
she-
about him.
when he goes, "Oh my God, this is what's
It's
her name?
true. It's
Um,
true. But-
Madeline Kahn.
Madeline
Yeah.
Kahn.
Lily von Stupp. When she
Yeah.
goes, when she goes, "Oh my God, I've never felt anything that big," and he goes, "Baby, that's my arm."
Arm. When Mel Brooks is trying to put his pen away, and then he's, help me in with this. Help me. Just think of your secretary. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the,
You mad bitch.
was that Carol
It's just a-
Wayne
it's
who was
just a
playing
film
the
No, it was
secretary?
not. It was not
The film
Carol
that
Wayne.
couldn't be made today.
No, it was not
No.
Carol Wayne.
No,
Oh God, he's
Who I
like,
believe
hello,
drowned, tragically drowned.
she did. She did.
really?
Yeah.
No, was she like a secret Church of Satan member?
Yeah,
And this
motorboat.
was,
No. She was
Fine.
vacationing and just,
yeah,
those,
'cause-
you can't, sometimes the flotation devices, they
Yeah.
fool you.
well, I remember when
She
Jessica
even had a
Rabbit-
motorboat.
Oh, Ned.
I'm going to keep
Ned.
saying it till someone responds.
Ned Rice, everybody.
Ned Rice. This is the Mary Jo Kopechne hour with
Ned Rice. We'll be in Seattle all week.
Just
I
remember
am.
what
And the comedy here stinks.
Really?
I
Really?
have not seen one good show or one good comic. It's pretty awful.
do you
Wow.
remember
Get out
Chris
there, then.
Alpine?
Do I what?
Chris Alpine.
I don't
I
know.
remember
that.
Chris Alpine.
Okay, here's my story about Chris Alpine.
Thin, wiry haired kid, right? That was-
Yeah. I'm in
yeah.
LA.
Yep.
I just worked with him we were in Billings, Montana. God, I love that tour. And Seattle and Spokane and one other place I can't remember. Anyway, so we go to editor and a friend of hers and Chris Alpine and another friend of Gailey, that was the name of her friend. And Gailey was a very political conservative, but but we were kind of hacking each other about it, but it didn't get out of hand. It wasn't ugly, but all of a
Right.
sudden, Chris Alpine goes, "Why doesn't everybody just cool their jets?" And Marta said, "Well, we don't have to cool our jets. No one's yelling. We're just
Yeah.
disagreeing." And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Chris Alpine gets up and says, "Well, I don't want to be with this crowd anymore at all," and slams down his share of the money and looks at Gailey and goes, "And it has not been a pleasure talking to you," and storms off. So it really got quiet, right? We go, Jesus Christ. So as I'm leaving, I said to Marta, "What was that about?" She goes, "You want to know what that was about?" He kept grabbing my thigh.
Oh.
And eventually I punched him in the nuts.
Good work.
Oh,
Because I said to him, stop touching me. And he goes, okay. And then he touched me again. And she goes, you only get one warning. You know, it's not like, oh, I didn't know where my hand went. And I punched him in the balls.
No,
And then I saw him a year later. That might have been the most uncomfortable, well, look who it is I've ever had in my life.
Ouch. And you've had a few.
A few. You haven't met my ex-wife.
You've had a few.
Naz, what was so bad about the axe in Seattle? What are they?
Just I haven't seen anybody funny, and I went to a show with a headliner, and I mean, this guy. Fuck.
You really don't have to go beyond that. The way you're talking, that's all you need.
I couldn't believe he was headlining. I was like, he wouldn't even be a good feature, and it was that kind of boring comedy about. So man, I love weed, right? And I was so high.
Jesus.
Is there anything more boring than I was so high stories? They're not even jokes.
Yeah.
So
first of all, it's been legal for like decades up there.
Right.
So no one gives a shit if you're smoking.
But that's part of it. It's like they're boasting about this forbidden thing. Like, who gives a shit? And B, yeah, people who are high do and say stupid things. So what? It's so predictable and boring.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I have no patience for that.
Stephen Wright had a great line where he goes, you know, I'm told that, I don't know if you know this, but smoking a lot of pot ruins your short-term memory because smoking pot ruins your short-term memory.
That would work.
I still love him talking about putting his car keys in the house and starting the house up and driving it around. And the cop says, where do you live? He goes, well, right here. You know, I just, that was one of the bits that he did when he was on Carson for the first time.
Wait, I thought that was Stephen Wright.
Yeah, Stephen Wright did that. Yeah, that was his.
I thought we were talking about Peachy Guy.
No.
We moved
Stephen
on.
Wright.
Stephen Wright. Yeah, that's the Stephen Wright bit. Yeah.
Well, you know the line he does. He says, I went to an IHOP and they said breakfast anytime. He says, I want French toast in the Renaissance.
Yeah. Or how about
I asked this last week, but I'm going to ask again.
He went to the restaurant that opened 24 hours and he pulls on the door and it's locked and he bangs on it and the janitor comes up. He says, it says it's open 24 hours. And the guy goes, in a row?
No, not in a row.
Well, that's like the thing about if 7-Eleven is open 24 hours a day, why are there locks on the doors?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you heard that when Denny's needed to close their 24-hour restaurants for the COVID pandemic, there were some Denny's restaurants where they had no idea where the keys were.
That's funny.
They had never locked the front. They had keys to the back door, but
because it was Denny's, they blamed a black guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you let them in after midnight, they're going to be there all night and they're not going to tip. I mean, come on,
And by the way, kiss your supply of bacon goodbye. What doesn't happen in Tel Aviv, I'll tell you that, my friend.
Hey, Ned, seriously, I know you said the headliner was telling dope stories, but what are the other people? Are they just doing like basically sort of inoffensive stuff? Is it
a lot of very PC, a lot of virtue signaling kind of stuff?
Oh shit!
Boy.
But I didn't hear anybody that had anything.
Wow.
I'm trying to get as many shows as I can, but I have not seen one comment.
That is the most painful thing in the world to me.
There you go, Mark. That's your road trip.
I was asked to do to MC an open mic in DC. To be the regular MC. I did it for 2 weeks. I said I can't do this. I can't. It's too painful.
It's too vanilla.
The thing about our open mic though is that it's an extension of a workshop that we do and a dojo.
No, yours is different. But these are people. How come I can't go on next week? And I went, you're not funny.
And that's how we met.
I said
that's how Sam and I met.
I tried to be. I went out for the basketball team in junior high, and the coach said, "You're short, you're chubby, and you can't shoot." I go, yeah, but he goes, there's no yeah, but after that. What's the yeah, but? What, your
We're
dad
done.
owns the team bus? What is the yeah, but?
Well, that's our 60 minutes, boys. So we're gonna meet again here next Monday night. Ned, stick around because we always have a little confab after we go off.
And if you don't,
Okay.
we're going to talk about you.
Stick
So,
around.
you know.
Yeah, we talk about you all the time, so I need to take a sense of stuff.
Gross.
Anyway, for everybody else, we'll be back. We'll be back next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Thanks for joining us, and we're out of here.
I hydrate a lot, so I'm going to pee, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Aye.